Hey there. In this video we're going to be looking at 7 bizarre crime cases that by themselves are too short for my normal format, a sort of weird crime compilation if you will. Before we dive in though, if you've been to the channel before and want to see more of my content, you know what to do. I really appreciate it. Just before midnight, an unnamed Florida man was going for a jog like he had many times before. We'll call him Jim. Jim put in his earbuds and started jogging. Only seconds into his jog, he was hit by a mist which stung his eyes. While he was rubbing his eyes and recovering, someone ran up behind him, threw a belt over his throat, and began choking him. What his attacker didn't know was that Jim had been training various martial arts over the years. Jim easily threw the unknown assailant over his shoulder and subdued him with a submission. Once he had strangled the fight out of his attacker, Jim fumbled with his phone and called 911 while still holding on to the assailant.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
I'm off of, I believe, Kings Highway.
Okay, it looks like you're at Batavia Avenue. Does that sound familiar?
Actually, it does.
Okay.
The man just tried to assault me from behind, choked me out.
Okay, so male tried to choke you from the back?
Yes, I've got him detained on the ground right now. I need the cops to my location immediately.
Okay, stay on the line with me, okay? I'm going to get them out there, okay?
Please do.
Absolutely. Please stay on the line with me, though, okay? Okay, do you know who this man is?
Absolutely not.
His attacker was an 18-year-old neighbor, Logan Smith, a very disturbed young man who lived across the street from him. Jim had never seen or even knew of him. Yet, Logan had been watching Jim on his weekly jogging routines for the past 6 weeks, plotting this attack after watching the horror movie Scream. On the night of the attack, Logan gathered up a bedsheet, a robe belt, Axe body spray, and a rubber mallet and began putting his plan into action. His plan was to spread the bedsheet onto his driveway and in the most cartoonish manner hide behind a lamppost. When Jim ran by as he had many times before, Logan planned to spray him with the Axe body spray to blind him, then choke him out with the robe belt. Afterwards, he would then put Jim's body onto the bedsheet where he would then drag him into his house and kill him with the rubber mallet. The most haunting part is what Logan planned to do afterwards. He planned to put Jim in the corner of his closet where nobody would find him so that he could play with the body and fulfill his sexual desires. It goes without saying that this was a disgusting plan, and had he attempted on a weaker person, he may have been successful, which is scary to think about. As of October of 2022, Logan was deemed incompetent to stand trial and has since been released. In early 2017, a man and his girlfriend, who were career burglars, decided to break into a home in Ridgecrest, California. Seeing that the home was locked and had a security system, the man decided he would scale up onto the house and get into the house through the chimney. The pair then reached the chimney and the man squeezed inside and started scaling down the narrow space. Apparently, they didn't estimate the width correctly, and after going down a handful of feet, the man got stuck in the chimney. The girlfriend, now in a panic, got off of the roof and broke into the house through a back door to try and save her man. Let's just say she wasn't successful. After a while, she called the authorities to come help her man, but by the time they arrived, she was nowhere to be found. Smart. Firefighters ended up rescuing the man, later identified as Keith Schultz. After he was saved, he was promptly booked into jail by police where he was charged with burglary in the first degree. On September 1st, 2017, Kansas City police pulled over Sean Sykes Jr. for a traffic stop. One thing led to another and the car ended up being searched where police found a backpack which held various drugs and 2 handguns. One of the 2 guns, a .357 Magnum, had been reported stolen a few days prior. During questioning, Sean denied knowing anything about the guns or the drugs. When asked for his address, Sean answered by leaning sideways and farting loudly. When prompted with further questions, Sean continued to rip out a parade of loud farts almost on command. Mr. Sykes continued to be flatulent and I ended the interview. Charges did not get filed at the time and Sykes was eventually cut loose. He got pulled over again on November 5th of the same year, just 2 months after the farting incident, but this time police found crack cocaine and a stolen .38 caliber revolver. I guess he didn't have the farts built up because this time the process went by without incident and he pled guilty in October of 2018. In October of 2009, police received a call that two hooded men had tried breaking into a man's home in Carroll, Iowa. As the would-be thieves were taking off, the homeowner took note of their vehicle model and color. This information was then passed on to the police and the search was on. Shortly after, an officer stopped a vehicle matching the caller's description a few blocks away. Inside, he found two men, 23-year-old Matthew McNelly and 20-year-old Joey Miller. Both of them were heavily intoxicated. The officers involved in the stop reportedly had to hold back laughter when seeing the pair's disguise. Instead of a stocking over their heads or a traditional ski mask, the duo decided to scribble all over their faces with permanent marker. As it turns out, one of the burglars suspected his girlfriend was seeing the homeowner behind his back, and as revenge wanted to break into the man's home and steal some stuff. The pair were then booked into jail where these infamous photos were taken. At a later date, the two were charged with attempted burglary, and McNelly was additionally charged with operating a vehicle while intoxicated. I've been chief here almost 25 years, been with the department 28 and a half years, and I've seen a lot of things that make me laugh and weird things, but this was probably the best combination of the two. Strangely weird and hilariously funny all at the same time, the police chief later said. Initially, I thought this one would be pretty short. The guy's a weird little panty thief, unfortunately not too uncommon, but still bizarre. He was harassing an apartment complex, harassing laundromats, everything else. But then I went down the rabbit hole and researched his name, and damn. This is 30-year-old Reed McGrath. This guy is a sexual menace and a danger to children. Reports from his former lawyer state that he has been flashing and harassing people since 2013, but the events aren't documented. On April 3, 2019, in Michigan, Reed went on a perverted rampage while reportedly wearing nothing but women's underwear. Unfortunately, at some point during his adventure, he saw a young girl playing in a backyard. He got out of his car, ran up to the girl, and tried pulling her pants down. Luckily, an adult saw before anything else happened, and McGrath got scared off, where he then retreated back to his vehicle and drove off. Soon after, he was apprehended by police due to the many reports flooding in. Just 1 year later, in April 2020, he was sentenced to 1 year in jail and 5 years probation for 7 felony and 2 misdemeanor convictions associated with his 2019 excursions. He was released back into society during 2021 at some point. The story doesn't end here though, and at the tail end of 2022, between October and November, someone had been breaking into various laundromats and stealing piles of women's underwear. Understandably, this led female residents to become frightened due to the sexual deviant on the loose. The culprit was caught in December of the same year after trying it again. Apparently the laundromats had beefed up their security measures and he couldn't get inside. I'm also assuming that alongside these security upgrades were cameras because the culprit was identified easily. It was Reed McGrath. The whole situation caused widespread terror amongst female residents located near laundromats, and he was dubbed the Panty Thief. Reed was jailed December 19, 2022 for breaking and entering, attempted breaking and entering, and 2 counts of larceny. It looks like he's still incarcerated at the time of this video. In early 2017, a 31-year-old Virginia man decided to dress up in full Heath Ledger Joker makeup and wander around the parking lot of a local massage envy. When customers looked outside, they saw a crazed-looking guy outside dressed as the Joker waving around a sword and pacing back and forth. As a result, police were called to the location. Upon their arrival, the man was promptly arrested and charged with a felony. Not for the sword, though, as you might have guessed, but for wearing a disguise to conceal his identity. I had to look this up, and yeah, apparently it's an actual law in Virginia. It's code 18.2-422, and it states that it's illegal for any person over 16 years old to conceal their identity, wear any mask, hood, or other device whereby a substantial portion of the face is hidden or covered so as to conceal the identity of the wearer while in a public place. Truly bizarre, but what was this guy doing there in the first place? The last crime case is fairly short, but potentially the most bizarre one on this list. On February 13, 2017, at an airport in Malaysia, 2 women were approached by a person claiming to be from a prank TV show. This individual showed a large sum of cash and informed the pair that if they pranked this certain man by rubbing this unknown substance on his face, they would be rewarded. In the airport footage, the man is seen in a light gray suit casually walking through. Later on, in much grainier footage, you can make out him being grabbed from behind by one of the women while the other rubs the chemical onto his face with a cloth. Afterwards, the pair run off to get their supposed reward from the mysterious person, and they were nowhere to be found. The man is later seen on CCTV footage flagging down airport staff and explaining what happened. It turns out it was too late, and the fast-acting substance within 20 minutes killed the man. The substance on the cloth was what's known as a VX nerve agent, a very deadly and toxic man-made chemical compound used in chemical warfare. This man was North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un's older half-brother Kim Jong-nam. From 1998 to 2001, Kim Jong-nam was seen as the future leader of the family regime. However, Kim Jong-nam was exiled in 2003 after being a frequent critic of his family's regime. It's speculated that this was an assassination ordered by Kim Jong-un, as he didn't want his older brother ever threatening his rule. The pair of women that were tricked into doing this action were freed in 2019. City got the charges against her dropped, while Huang agreed to plead guilty to the lesser charge of causing injury. The courts generally agreed that these were two innocent women tricked into a well-planned assassination. But that's about all I have for you guys. Thanks for watching this far. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, you know what to do. I'm Jeremy the Crime Historian, checking out. Peace.